Hey guys, it's Veronica and I'm back with another video. In case you're wondering, yes, I did cut and dye my hair. It's much darker and I'm still getting used to it, but I kind of feel a little badass with dark hair now. So today's video is all about books, and there are a few used bookstores in Seoul that I have never been to, and I recently visited them in January and I picked out a whole bunch of new books because I decided 2018 is going to be the year of books. I used to be a really avid reader when I was younger, but as an adult I kind of fell out of love with reading. Maybe it has to do with college and having been forced to read a lot of books that I wasn't interested in. And over the past year, I've tried to get back into reading, but kind of failed. I would start books and never finish them. So yeah, now I've got more free time on my hands. So I really want to get back into reading, and I decided the best way to do that would be to go out to a bookstore, pick a bunch of interesting, fun books that would get me excited to read again, and just read books this year. So I only ended up going to 2 different bookstores, but I picked out 9 books, which might not be a lot for some people, especially people in the booktube community when they do these book hauls that are like this tall. But for me that is a lot because, like I said, I haven't been reading a lot lately. So I'm really excited to show you what books I picked out and also tell you a little bit about the bookstores themselves. Alright, so the first bookstore that I went to is called What the Book. It is pretty popular and well known among the foreigner community in Seoul. The store is located in Itaewon, kind of like up a hill, and the staff was really friendly, so I would highly recommend visiting, especially because they have a really wide selection of books. They've got used, new, fiction, non-fiction, children's books, young adult, classics, romance, science fiction. They have a lot, and you can also order books from their website. Actually, I ended up getting 2 used books and 2 new books, so the title of this video is a little bit clickbait. Sorry about it, but also not that sorry about it. So the first used book that I got is called Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I didn't know anything about this book when I picked it out. I just read the back cover and it seemed interesting. I wanted to buy something that was fun, adventurous, had some kind of supernatural element to it, something really fun to get back into reading. And I actually already finished this book, so I'm really proud of myself. What I didn't realize is that this is part of a series, so I kind of have gotten sucked into a story, and now I have to read like 4 more books to get to the end of it. So I'm a little sad. Now I'm trapped, but also kind of happy because I have some reading to look forward to. This story was fun. It was definitely a fun read. They had some like plot holes and also very predictable twists, but I don't really care. It was really fun and I got invested into the characters anyways, so I hopefully will be able to read the next books in the series. So the second used book that I picked out is called Pieces of You by Tablo. If you don't know who Tablo is, what? Tablo is like super famous here in Korea. He is a member of Epic High, he's a rapper, and he's also super duper smart. So he wrote this collection of short stories. I don't know if they are like autobiographical or if they're just fiction. I'm not sure at all. I'm curious to see what he wrote about in these stories, and also he's known as being a really good lyricist in his music, so I think I can expect great things from this. Yeah. The next 2 books are new and they're also classics. So the first one that I got was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've actually never read anything by the Bronte sisters, not a single one, and I know that Wuthering Heights is maybe one of the most famous books by the Bronte sisters. So I just picked it up and I thought I gotta get more classics under my belt, and I want to know what this romance deal is all about. Even Bella in Twilight has read this book, so I gotta step up my game. And the other classic that I got is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This one, actually, I did read probably, a long time ago. When I was still in high school, I rented it from the library, my school library, and I read it, and I love it, and I love the movie. The one with Keira Knightley. I love this story, and it's been a really long time since I've read it, so I decided there's no shame in a reread, especially with a story as famous and great as Pride and Prejudice, so I picked out this one. The second bookstore that I visited is called Aladdin. I think they have a few different locations throughout Korea, but the one that I visited was in Seoul near the Hapjeong Hongdae area. Aladdin has, I'm pretty sure, only used books. I don't remember if they had anything new, but it's mostly Korean books, and they also had a small section of English books. So that's where I went to, obviously. But they also have used CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and other like stationery kind of things. So that was kind of cool. The first book that I picked out is called Weekend in Paris by Robin Sisman. The craziest thing is that I saw this book at Aladdin maybe a year ago, maybe longer, and I almost bought it, but I ended up not buying it. I don't remember why. Maybe I bought something else and I left it there on the shelf and I walked away. It was still there, so I was like, okay, I have to get it now. I think it's about a young woman who works in a big company in London, but she has to go on a business trip to Paris, and I think she ends up getting swept up in some kind of whirlwind romance. Sounds cheesy, but that is perfect because that means it'll be a really fast, easy, light, fluffy read. Next, I picked out something completely opposite, The Iliad by Homer, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this because it's really long and old. It's daunting, but it was cheap, $2.50. Next, I picked out Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I've seen the movie and I know that this is a very, very famous book, and I guess it's also part of a series. I am so out of the loop, you guys. I didn't realize this was a series. I would like to read this, but still my goal is to read Dracula first because that's where the whole vampire novel started. So I'm going to read that, then I'm going to read The Historian, and then I will eventually get to Interview with the Vampire. So many vampire books. The next book that I picked out is Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I'm like a zillion years late into reading this book and a few of the others. I know. I have no excuse. I don't know why I haven't been reading popular books for the past like 10 years or more. I did read The Da Vinci Code, so I kind of get what is Dan Brown's gig. He's got like history, mystery, religion, all swirled into one, and The Da Vinci Code was a fun ride, so I'm assuming this one's going to be a fun ride too. And honestly, I probably should have read this first because it came out before The Da Vinci Code. I'm done. The last book that I picked out was Sherlock Holmes, The Complete Novels and Stories, Volume 2. I don't know where's Volume 1, but they had Volume 2 for sale, so I picked it out. It's got The Hound of the Baskervilles in here, The Valley of Fear, other stuffy stuffs. I've read one Sherlock Holmes story before. I read A Study in Scarlet, and that I did not like. But I really love the BBC stories and other Sherlock Holmes like movies and TV shows. So I want to know what is up, what is the hype. Hopefully I can read a few stories out of here and have a little adventure. I almost forgot, I got one more thing at Aladdin. Like I mentioned before, they have a pretty big selection of CDs and movies and stuff like that. And within the CD section, they had like a K-pop section. I'm a huge B1A4 fan, as you may already know, and I have yet to pick up their latest album that came out a couple months ago called Rollin'. I kept seeing it in stores and hesitating buying it because I'm like, do I really need it? I own the digital like MP3s already, but it was on sale at Aladdin for I think $10. I think the usual retail price was like $17, so I felt like, okay, it's a good deal, and it was in really good condition, almost perfect condition, so it was really a steal. So I would really recommend going and checking out a used bookstore to see if you can find a K-pop album used for cheaper. So that's it for this video. I'm really excited to read more books this year, and if you are interested in more videos like this about books and reading, and if you want to see like reviews or anything of these books, let me know in the comments below. I'm a huge fan of the booktube community on YouTube. I know that my channel is not that, so I don't want to make this channel any more like confusing than it already is, because I feel like I already kind of cover too many topics. So just let me know if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, I might add book reviews to my blog, so you can like check out what I'm reading there, but it won't be on my channel. I haven't really decided what I want to do yet, but I am excited to read. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!